Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and last time we had our first video in which we were in Rivia. We're still very early off. We had our first encounter here, and it was a somewhat difficult encounter against Nilfgaardians, at least initially. Then, of course, eventually, the power of the Skellige guys carried us into what was ultimately a fairly comfortable victory. But oftentimes we find when we're in new areas, the first one or two encounters are fairly straightforward. And then, after that, the difficulty tends to ramp up fairly quickly, so I'm a little bit wary of that, hoping that we can find a way to maybe complete a puzzle or something like that where we don't need to use our own deck. We can get some kind of pre-made deck and get some kind of reward that might help us out. Otherwise, I mean, we're just taking a quick peek at the map there. We know there are potentially a few different directions we could go here, or at least it would certainly seem that way. We can go through and over here where there's some kind of battle, which is not the kind of thing that we might be leaning toward all that much. I mean, we don't know how hard it's going to be, but that's the type of thing that might have a somewhat difficult aspect to it, but there might be other things over here as well. Alternatively, we could head more in the east and southern direction, and I'm assuming there's something big in this very large city over there, and fortification over here as well until we make our way over to the main quest. So at the very least, we've branched out into what could be multiple pathways, so that is good. We hopefully won't hit any hard stops in that way, whereas, you know, if the very first encounter we couldn't make it past that, then we were in trouble. But what do we have here? Report. Milady, this pit. Bodies piled in. Appear to be peasants, their hands bound and throats slit. Has every look of mass execution. What would you have us do? Nothing? Or we could do a proper burial. Costs us a lot of gold. Raises our morale. Right now we're on neutral. If we do nothing, it's low morale. So at this point in the game, we of course have not crafted a single unit, and I would very much like to keep it that way, because it feels like we're so close to the finishing line. I can see it in the distance. However, this is the hardest part, I would have to imagine. So we can either tough our way through it and get there, or take the easy way out when things get difficult. So having some gold to spare might be good just in case bad things happen, but we don't have that many other upgrades to be done here. I think there's just the one for lowering the recruit cap cost of cards, I think is the main thing that we have left at this point. There might have even been an achievement for that if you fully upgrade along that line, which I'm not sure at this stage we're going to have enough resources to do, but I mean, I think we do this. We have a shrine that we just walked past, so worst comes to worst, we can at least get back to neutral morale. However, if we can gut our way through, speaking of gutting our way through, the next encounter, then we can hopefully still get ourselves onto neutral morale, and a bit of a free reset of sorts in that way. Okay, we've learned a little bit more now. Basically just this point of interest here, and just saw some additional recruits there. Also, for what it's worth, music. I don't know if I mentioned it yet about the Rivia section thus far, but it's pretty freaking awesome. It's very similar to the main menu, or at least an iteration, a modification on the main menu music, but I always, that was a huge amount of recruits, oh my god. I do like a lot in any game, whenever the game developers decide to break out the main menu music in some component of the actual gameplay, because usually they save that. Usually the main menu music is quite good, and developers will deliberately try to save that for some key moments, and it gives it that extra significance, and as a player makes you think, okay, this right here, this matters. And since this is a modification, an iteration of the main menu music, it does just give a little more weight to the fact that we are now in Rivia. Has been a long journey. We are almost there. Okay, so, oh, that's not even what I meant to click. We know there's this encounter here. We don't know what it is, but I guess we'll give it a shot. As I said, you know, at least worst comes to worst, if there's something extremely difficult over here in this direction, we can go in a different direction and double back here when perhaps our deck is stronger, or now that we're on low morale, maybe once we're on higher morale. Oh, there's apparently we missed out on, okay, hold on. Apparently we missed some loot over there. Let's nab it. Granted, for all we know, this is going to be some kind of encounter that reduces or removes all of our resources. Some wood hidden in this corner or something like that? Yeah, very well hidden. Some gold as well. Okay. Now that we're up above 1,000 gold, I am actually curious to see, can we afford any of those upgrades? As I said, we really should give ourselves some margin here with the resources. Let's see, not that. This is the thing where you might get an achievement for fully upgrading these things. But wow, they are expensive from a gold standpoint. That is exorbitantly expensive, and we cannot afford them at the moment. We could just do that, which doesn't really feel significant, and these are obviously things that, well, we're hoping we don't need to do. We're hoping we don't need to do. But we should give ourselves some wiggle room in case of emergency, we need to invest in some new units, but I'm really hoping we don't have to go that route, because we've come so far without having to do that yet.
Meve needed but set one foot into the Ruwode.
Part of the woods. Uh-oh.
The sickening stench of rot hung in the air. Flies swarmed in thick clouds, and crows cawed in a deafening cacophony.
This does not sound good. In more than one way.
What had caused this murder to amass? Well, Meve's scouts soon found out.
Your Majesty.
I think we'd heard a little bit about this before, but I don't remember the details.
Not far from
what we already knew.
Past the bend, there's a cutting, and it's full of bodies. Our boys and the Blackclads alike. Bodies mutilated, horribly so. Guts
What?
ripped up, entrails strewn about.
Oh.
Heads locked. Somewhere, like
Yes?
branches embrace him, grip him tight, as if the trees strangled him.
It's the only thing I can think of. I mean, it's attacking human, or, Nilfgaardians and Lyrian/Rivians equally. So it's not of Nilfgaardian origin. But the mutilation, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's something fouler than that.
Hearing this, the Queen ordered a halt to their march. They would go no further, she thought, till they knew what had killed those men. Luckily, witnesses were soon found. A haggard band of resin burners emerged from a nearby dugout, black with dirt, covered in dried blood.
Milady,
Their eldest stammered.
Blackins came and started felling the wood.
And then Leshens.
To make way for a town, they said. They pushed hard, right to the heart of the forest where the old oaks grow.
Music is amazing here as well.
Foulness, the old camp, blackclads and loggers alike. Done in one night. No time even to draw their weapons. We was lucky. Found pits to hide in. Just heard as something huffed and puffed while talking to the trees, no less.
Reynard ordered medics to tend to the tar makers, then turned to Meve.
We cannot wash our hands of this, your grace. The Nilfgaardians awoke the monster, yes, but it kills Rivians just as readily.
Right, and we are now in Rivia. So now more than ever, any bystanders, any regular citizens that we see, they're technically our citizens. They may currently be kind of ruled over by the Nilfgaardians, sort of, a little bit, but we should be trying to defend our citizens.
Meve stood at the edge of the clearing and pricked her ears. The Ruwode echoed with the cawing of crows, which seemed to perch on its every twig. She also heard the howling of wolves and a hollow rattling, as if branches whipped in the wind.
Woodland spirits.
Fair and still.
That Geralt. He just had to desert me.
The Queen removed her cloak.
It's true, we could have really used Geralt right now.
Toward the heart of the wood. Her soldiers followed, clutching cocked crossbows to sweaty cheeks.
Though for what it's worth, we have taken on monsters that are even more dangerous than ones that Witchers would take on. Most notably, Keltullus. I believe in The Witcher 3, Geralt, if not other people, have stated that, and I'm sure in the books as well, that Witchers deliberately do not fight dragons because they are too intelligent and too dangerous to fight. and there was only one or two exceptions, and generally, that they do not end well for the Witchers when they do try to do that. Obviously, we did fight Keltullus and defeat Keltullus for the most part, besides the whole part where we ultimately ended up showing mercy. So things like that, I mean, you could make the case, you know, who needs a Witcher, right? We can take on whatever it is that's out here. Oh, I thought we were going to go straight into the encounter, but you can still walk around. Okay.
Thank ye, your majesty. You'll protect us from the blackclads and monstrosities.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what we should do.
Them blackclads don't understand the forest. Don't understand nature. They rape it. Try to take too much, too fast.
And that also would seem to suggest a lesson.
We told him. Unwise to venture so deep in the wood. We told him.
Okay, that seems to be all.
Venture so deep in the wood.
Yeah, you can see Nilfgaardian armor there and some other kind of villager here. What is this? Letter found? Oh, is this gonna... Wait, what? I, Queen Meve, hereby proclaim that upon regaining my throne, I shall raise the geld and poll tax threefold in order to ensure the realm's populace has appropriately compensated for the royal treasury for wartime expenses incurred. Similarly, I shall increase compulsory labor twofold. Whosoever attempts to withhold properly from royal collectors shall have their hands severed, and their wrists and their eyes gouged with a red-hot iron. So, is this... Did the Nilfgaardians make this up? I'm assuming that Meve did not, in the past however many minutes, create and distribute this letter, and this would be a way to make the locals less favorable of Meve, and so the Nilfgaardians may very well have tried to do something like this, understanding that we were coming in the near future, so that if the villagers or other people in Rivia more generally saw us, they were not as likely to support us. Interesting. Some political propaganda of sorts, perhaps. Okay, so I'm guessing this may end up being maybe not a full-blown point of no return, but, you know, something that is basically our last warning of, hey, you want to go in here, it's going to cost you, and you better get the job done, otherwise it's not going to be worth it. So this does very much seem like a warning. Let's see, Your Majesty. A tree's been snapped clear in half, and now blocks the road. I know not what's to blame, but 'tis clearly not the handiwork of man. Again, I'm guessing Leshen, and at least in The Witcher 3, Leshens tend to be accompanied oftentimes by powerful wolves as well, and I think we had at least one brief mention of a wolf. No, not beyond just Geralt, in that previous description that we were hearing about as well. So what are your orders? Shall the engineers remove it from the path? Immediately, and it'll cost us some wood? Sense of unease, something isn't right, we shall turn back. This is definitely true. There is going to be something very difficult over here, I highly anticipate, which I suppose is what we were guessing would end up happening soon before, although there's a lot of build-up toward this. I think we do have to do it. As for whether... can we turn back? No, hopefully what we'll do is we'll come in here and we'll just succeed. I mean, that's obviously that's ideal situation. But if it doesn't work out all that well in the short term, hopefully we can still come back on a later occasion and when we're a little bit stronger, take on whatever this encounter is. So we don't really know. In every previous location, there's been one major, oftentimes monster, but not always. Things like Gurnacora, Keltullus, the Manticore, those types of things. And oftentimes, when we've been at the main menu of the game, it'll have a little card that it shows with the name of the area. So, like for Lobaden, for example, Lobaden? No. Ongren, for example, it showed Gurnacora. For Mahakam, did it show Keltullus? It might have. I don't remember. But my point is, at the moment for this one, for Rivia, it shows Dahi. But that means that we don't really have a hint as to what type of major beast-like enemy we might encounter here, beyond just that there are a lot of signs pointing toward Leshens. And that does not look like a Leshen, that looks like necrophages. So I'm not sure if that's really the main thing in here. My guess would be that it's really this. So maybe we'll try this out. We'll see what we get ourselves into. This might be a good opportunity for us to get ourselves back up to neutral morale if we are to succeed. And then, assuming that the other encounter is more difficult, we're in a little bit better shape for that. So what is this? I'm assuming this is not tied to the major theme of this area, but Felling Blows, which does certainly still have some lumberjack themes. The lumberjack trade is not a safe one. In fact, isn't it technically, by some metrics, the most dangerous job? I feel like I've heard that before. By some metrics. But first of all, unfortunate accidents are an unfortunate expectation. Second, the sound of an axe striking trunk echoes a great distance. Beasts, it turns out, have sensitive hearing and insatiable appetites. Alright, well, it is a standard battle, so 3 rounds. We are on low morale, so we have a disadvantage in that sense. I feel like this card, which at least in multiplayer Gwent is Osrel, has been the one that has shown up as the preview card for random battles more than any other. But let's jump in. Alright, so we have pretty big disadvantage in that we are on low morale here, but we have a lot of Skellige guys in hand, so that is definitely nice in round 1 in particular. And it's usually a question of, do we go Skellige guys, or do we go Tainted Ale plus the Infiltrator and Alchemist in round 1, and usually we prefer Skellige guys if we can. That way we get more reliable carryover when we use Dogger in round 2/3. So the fact that we have a lot of them in hand here is good, but let's see if we can learn anything before we get started in full here. Bloodthirsty Algul. Consume the top unit in your graveyard, spawn a base copy of it, cooldown 3. I mean, this feels like that might even be exactly the same leader ability that we've seen before on previous occasions. As I said, you know, Osrel does seem to be a card that we've seen pop up many times before. I think we dump you. Okay, I like that. So we will still have leader ability, and for that reason may be able to get more Skellige guys out here. We're missing 1 Disgrace Warrior and Patricide, so 1 leader ability should do it. We need to be a little bit careful about using Dogger, because we need to make sure we finish with him in our deck, or in our hand, not on the board. Otherwise, we can't reuse him in later rounds, and that's where his big value comes from. So, other than that, though, I think we're fine. They will go first. Savage Bear, whenever a unit appears in the battlefield, damage it by 1. I mean, that works well for Skellige guys, and we'd love to see an Isbel at some point, because that helps her too, although we have armor for basically every unit to start off with, so I guess that's not really a huge factor. Potentially not a huge factor. So let's go, I guess, Brawlers first, and then we'll get these guys out. These guys tend to have a little more ability to actually damage or even remove important cards, less so with these guys, at least not until they've been boosted up. So we could go leader ability immediately and use that to get Patricide and get... Oh, we actually have a Disgrace Brawler in our deck still as well. Okay, I thought we had a higher percentage of them in our hand. But let's do this. We'll get you guys in the deck. Probably go Patricide, and I guess we'll go Disgrace Warrior. That way we have a little bit of a mixture of both things.
Wanna know why I got my scar?
Okay. So let's see how tough this encounter really is. Okay, now they're just going to load up on a bazillion copies of these guys to the point where we are going to end up taking huge chunks of damage whenever we play a unit, and if so, then, I mean, yeah, Skellige guys are pretty much ideal then. So let's keep on playing them.
Come on, kill me!
And again, technically, may have been better to have done this first, but... So yeah, these guys, we would just be sacrificing them all together. You... Could hit both of them. I mean, they have a whole bunch of armor right now. I guess, at the very least, do that. I think go orderless for the time being. I'm sensing a bit of a theme here. Might be crazy, but I'm sensing a bit of a theme here. Oh, and they also will damage their own units too. But these guys have so much armor that that's not really a big factor. I mean, they are big enough that a Tainted Ale would not be bad, but we did very much swap out our Tainted Ale synergies here. And I think we'll try to save Mahakam Ale too. At least, I'd like to do that. Let's play you. There are enough of these guys that I think now you're at least armorless. And next one will actually take damage even beyond the armor. And now it's different. We've seen these guys before, right? Every wolf in hand, boost self by 1, then damage random enemy by 2. Repeat this ability whenever wolf ally appears. So they spam a whole bunch of wolves, and they get tons of damage from that. I mean, it does work pretty well, having the Skellige guys, because it does give us cards that want to take damage, and similarly, that powers up Isbel, so it's going to be pretty important that we get her at some point. But you're going to add up big time. We could do this at some point, which is an interesting prospect. We should get at least this Disgraced Warrior down here, though. You will take damage, even beyond your armor. Oh, no. Oh, right, because they didn't play a Savage Bear that time, so perfectly breaks through the armor, but nothing else. So I think we're still hitting you. Just because we've been whittling away at your armor. Yeah, that's... I mean, we actually should have known exactly how many they were going to have. So you got boosted by 1 for every wolf in hand. You got boosted by 3 total, so it means they played 1 of those. They should have 2 more alpha wolves, and the more they play, the more that the damage stacks up. But, I mean, if they want to destroy the Disgraced Warriors for us, that's fine. Technically, this is still more efficient for us to click the order than for us to let them get destroyed, so may want to wait on that one. But now we are done with all the Skellige guys in our hand, except for Dogger, but as I was saying before, we want to be very mindful of when we play him, because if he gets destroyed, then we're in a whole lot of trouble. We could Gabor. He's on 15 damage, which means we could remove you and have the tiniest bit of carryover damage on someone else, so that's not really going to be enough to break through any of their armor. Nor is it enough to destroy anyone else if we were to target them with the initial hit. The help of Patricide? Not really sure that's going to make a difference. So, otherwise, Fake Florin. Yeah, we could destroy you, and then we could... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Patricide hits you, drops you down to 1 armor. That does mean Gabor could destroy you, and Fake Florin could destroy you. It's maybe not a terrible idea. Maybe we do that. I think we actually want to do Fake Florin first, because that way we have 1 less source of damage. Technically these guys weren't going to damage Gabor on deploy anyway. These guys were, so I guess it doesn't really make that big of a difference. We should probably use these guys. Probably use them still. We're going to use Gabor on you. Yeah, so it's fine hitting you. We should be able to make use of the extra damage. Don't really want to use you, though. So now Gabor, remove and damage is the idea. Oh, right, you're gonna make an extra copy of it? Okay, I mean, we can remove if we really want to. What the heck is this? Champion is Fallblood? No. Not the multiplayer Gwent version. Yingvar. Boost each damage ally by 2 and damage each damage enemy by 2. Okay, this is not a boss. I mean, not that it's that big, but they spam a whole bunch of these, and that's going to start to add up very quickly. Oh, how I wish that Isabel would actually tell us what the real number is when she's in our deck. Because that would be very useful to know right about now, because we are taking a lot of damage at the moment. So we could Gabor, remove, which is pretty tempting. Technically, we should Patricide first, and Patricide actually could, with 6 units there, it could damage you significantly, although still not destroy. Yeah. I mean, we're getting close enough to the end of the round, or at least they could pass at any point now. So we should make sure that even if we can't catch them on this turn, we need to be able to catch them on the next turn, which is not necessarily a given. Although, we could leader ability plus Dogger and sacrifice these guys, which may give us the firepower we need to. I think, for that reason, we might even prefer to target the Savage Bear rather than this Alpha Wolf with Gabor. So let's go Patricide first. I'm going to hit you. Then we'll go Gabor here. I think we can still make this work.
Anything.
So they are still in the lead, but if they are to pass here, I think we can still catch them. If we play Dogger, or we first sacrifice these guys, then play Dogger, use leader ability to put Dogger back into our deck so we can still get him in a later round, and take out actually even more Skellige guys, so I think that is actually the ideal situation here. But they do play further. It is another one of the Alpha Wolves, which means we do take a little bit more damage. We could remove this one if we were to use Patricide. But then that means, yes, we can use a big Dogger play here and now, but I'm still, if they're going to continue playing, now I'm not sure we're going to be able to catch them. I mean, we could get rid of an 18 with Artifact Compression. I guess we could do that. We'd probably need to make it you, because playing the Jade figurine is going to be pretty tough with all these Savage Bears and other sources of damage they have. So that's a different thing to bear in mind. But, okay, I think we're going to give this a shot. It might end up backfiring on us. Let's first remove you, I suppose. Slight overkill damage, but we'll live with it. Then we're going to sacrifice all of these guys deliberately. Start with you, because you're the most likely to actually get big enough that we will not be able to sacrifice you. So you power people up. You're going to power people up. You're going to power people up. Then we play Dogger. Get all those guys that we just played back.
Waiting for a personal invitation. Yeah!
Okay. We are in the lead now, so that is definitely nice. But we're going to use leader ability to put Dogger back into our deck, because, again, cannot have him go into our graveyard ever, otherwise we will lose. So we put him back. And we can get you out, and any other Skellige guys? Do you tell us the number? No. Okay, well, it's definitely you. Question is, what is the second card? Can we get away with maybe using a smaller card? Because we do have a lead right now, and maybe it's a way to get rid of something that's a little bit weaker. I mean, Bomber doesn't have a lot of time to do its thing, but if we are going to use things like Trace Infiltrator in a later round, then it may not be a natural time to use it later on. Might want to remove this from our deck, to be honest. Alchemist, out of curiosity, if anything interesting we could do that, we could power you up a little bit. Not that much. Could power you up a little bit. Not that much. Can't really weaken... we can slightly weaken you. It's not great. So I think we might go Bomber. It's mostly a throwaway. Otherwise, we could go Barnabas. Yeah, you know what? It's a little bit of a bigger investment, but we'll try Barnabas. So there's enough cards on the board here that I think we have a decent chance of Barnabas giving us something decent here.
on it.
Who is the highest unit? Patricide? They have 3 cards at 18, we have 1. So, this might damage us, it might damage them. Not sure. Boost the lowest unit by the amount damaged, and we definitely have the lowest unit. So it might be a net 0-point play. It might be a plus 30 play. This would have been great to get Dogger back. And we could bring... Is there anyone else who we'd like to bring back? Barnabas? Gabor? Anyone else we actually want to stay on the board because we want them to get destroyed? I think it might even be Decoy. I mean, this might be a case to win by more points in this round, but if we use Decoy, this can give us potentially a source of card advantage, which could be quite useful. I think we're going to put it on Gabor here, because now we have 4 cards to their 3, which is a big deal when we already have a lead, because they're going to pass. If they pass, well, we are a card up, and that has not happened to us in a very, very long time. Okay, so we will win round 1, convincingly at that. We draw back into Dogger. We also get Reynard and an Infiltrator. We have 4 that we can use here. 4 redraws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we dry pass, meaning play nothing, in this round, we'll get back up to 10 cards in round 3. Our opponent will need to play something in this round, otherwise they're going to lose in round 2 and we'll win the match 2-0. So they'll have they'll have 9 cards to our 10 cards. We'll have card advantage and double last say. Now, our opponents have certainly at times used things that still have carryover value when we do dry pass in round 2. It's not that uncommon for our opponents to have resilience units, things like that. So we might not actually punish them that much, but I think that is in theory still what we'd like to do here, and we'll see if we can draw into more Tainted Ale, Infiltrator, and Alchemist synergies going into round 3 as well. So I think we just dry pass here. It also means we'll have a little more time to get our leader ability back off cooldown while they're doing other things. They'll waste their leader ability here, so that's fine. There is the Woodland Spirit, which was the card that I was expecting this whole thing to be, this entire area to be based around, which I would have liked to have seen more about what this guy does, but we might have dodged one of their best cards. Okay, and we did draw into, yes, a Footman, which we definitely would like to mulligan, along with 2 Alchemists, so that is the synergy that I was talking about. Isbel is the big thing we're missing here, and should be able to mulligan our way into getting her. There we go. 86. 86. Now, she is quite vulnerable. So that is pretty terrifying, to be honest with you, because they have a lot of damage. So, including damage that applies as soon as we play a card. So, Isbel, we might need to rush her a little bit to avoid her getting destroyed before we can even use her if they use a bazillion Savage Bears, or even just... And when we have her on the board, we're going to need to use her quickly, otherwise things like these Alpha Wolves could deal more damage to her. What was the deal with this Woodland Spirit? Impenetrable Fog, Boast with Rose, then spawn an Alpha Wolf, which is this guy. So, I think... And the Impenetrable Fog, at least in multiplayer Gwent, targets the lowest unit, which would again be a way to take out Isbel. So, Isbel is tricky. Very tricky, potentially. But if we can get her to at least use her order ability, then that could give us pretty huge value, because it has powered up significantly. But that is not going to be an easy thing to make happen. Alright, I think we stick with this, though, because at this point it's basically just an Infiltrator, which is not bad, but we should be able to get that with our leader ability. Okay. It's an Alpha Wolf. So, as I said, we, on one hand, may need to play Isbel a little bit earlier than we would like to play her, because if we wait around too long, she'll get destroyed by Savage Bears. However, if we play her really early, then she's not going to have enough stuff to benefit from her order ability on. This is super overkill damage at this point, of course. And the random damage from the Alpha Wolf, at this point, if we were to play an Isbell, I mean, she's the only thing it could hit. So it would hit her very, very hard. So I think what we want to do here is I think we want to, as soon as possible, get a bunch of units on the board that we don't mind having take much of the damage. So that means go with Dogger, and with him, get all the Skellige guys out here. We don't really care if they take a bunch of damage. We should have time to replay Dogger and actually deliberately sacrifice those guys later on. And that means that even if we do play Isbell, random damage from Alpha Wolf is less likely, certainly not guaranteed to miss her, but less likely to, less likely to hit her. So it's a little bit safer. Okay. These guys, of course, get stronger every time we play them because of the Valmir's Horn, so that is also beneficial.
Death is only the beginning!
So at this point, they are not bad at all.
My disgrace ends here! Time I wiped it away!
Okay, there's their leader ability. It is Woodland Spirit, however, it did not activate their ability on it, so it's not really much of a factor. Consume the highest unit from your graveyard, set charge amount to its power, damage enemy unit by 1. So this will get a bazillion charges if we let... Except they have nothing in their graveyard. Okay. I mean, on one hand, we could destroy it, and then it's definitely not going to have anything to target. On the other hand, it doesn't have anything at the moment. They might end up adding things to their graveyard later on. This is another card that could eventually target Isbell, which is a little bit scary. Oh, that was on deploy. Wait, did they? Oh, they already did that. Okay, I didn't see if they consumed anything, actually. I mean, they didn't gain power. Usually consume would... Yeah, and boost self by its power. So they're not just gaining charges, they're gaining boosts as well. And the fact that they did not gain any boosts means they did not actually have anything to consume, which means they will not have any charges to deal damage. Okay, so now that we have a bunch of these guys on the board, it is safer to play Isbell, but they still have a whole bunch of ways to deal damage. So even once a card is on the board, not necessarily safe. We may want to actually play Isbell and put her next to a big unit like Patricide, and then use an Alchemist to boost up Isbell, and that way we play her early. Well, it's still possible to do so when they don't have a bunch of those bears to destroy her before we can even get her on the board. And she can stick... She's at least more capable of sticking on the board for longer, because even if she does take some damage from these guys, the extra power that she gets from matching the Patricide or whatever else we go for may be enough to have her hold on a little while longer. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, we can Gabor for damage. Infiltrators and whatnot, I think we want to wait a little bit before we do that stuff. We could play her early, and then, even if she uses her order ability early and takes more damage, or we take more damage, we can still reset it with Reynard, that order, and second go around may still get some half-decent value from that. Oh, we should play Machimael, though. I forgot about Machimael. Yes, this should be absolutely what we go for next. Okay, let's target you. So I think you're the card with the best long-term value right now. We don't really want to send you to the graveyard. We could deal decent damage with these guys, and we could destroy something with these guys, but still wary of adding things to their graveyard at the moment. So I think we can avoid that for the time being. Okay, you did not have any no damage units at all. Wow. Okay, I'm very surprised. But this may become the best card for us to hit with the Tainted Ale. And we do have our lead ability back here. So we could now sacrifice some of these guys, and at this point they're getting big enough that that is not the easiest thing to do. So we should sacrifice these guys, because then we can replay Dogger, which I think is still the most effective way to use our lead ability right now. Let's hit you at the very least. And then I think we can still sacrifice you guys to this dude and not have to worry about accidentally killing it, which we don't want, or at least not killing you guys, which is something I want to be mindful of here. So start with the biggest one. Okay, you guys are going to get bigger. Your 15s. That one got a boost from Hawkamail, which is kind of unfortunate, but kind of unavoidable. Didn't have any control over that. So now, even bigger, all of these guys. And that means if we are to play Isabel soon, then it's going to be even more effective. But now, let's go... We're going to want to use our leader ability to replay Dogger, but that's not a card from our hand. So, we could... yeah, it's probably going to end up being Tainted Ale here. And then... Yeah, leader ability will give us one of the infiltrators, so we can still get one of them out. We'll probably put the bomber, I guess, on this row. Let's do this. Then we'll play the infiltrator from our hand on our next turn. So do this. Do this. We're gonna play you and play you. So let's put you... I guess here.
Ludicrous. Give me some of that.
Get these guys back.
Waiting for a personal invitation.
Again, they are getting stronger.
Come on,
Ever so slightly every time. Make sure we put you on the correct side. Boosted by the power of the unit on the right. Put you there. Okay, it's another one of these guys. That's fine. You want to boost the Stray's Infiltrator for us, that is totally fine. And now we can go for one of these. Now this... Oh no, these guys are not the ones that deal damage when we play unit. I was going to say it. Just 2 power and 2 armor. I was a little concerned, but that's the same reason why we're a little concerned about Isabel. Probably going to want to play her after this, on our next turn. If we go here... Now, it does seem like... damaging but not destroying cards will potentially backfire. So I'm a little concerned about hitting you here. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the amount of damage we could do. And I hope that that's still worth it. I mean, for what it's worth, we have enough damage from these guys that we should probably be able to destroy you. Yeah, we definitely can. We don't want to hit you. We have a bunch of armor anyway. Don't really want to add cards to their graveyard. So we can weaken but not destroy, but then they play more of these guys and that's going to backfire a bit. So, I guess it's definitely you. And you don't have any long-term value, nor do you really. Guess it's still this. Not going to hit you on the next one, though. I am going to destroy you. Am I going to destroy you? Then their leader ability also starts working again, which they're about to get back. Let's not do this yet. Let's wait one more turn. They might be about to play another one of these guys, in which case, sure, they'll get a little more value from it, but... we'll live with it. You come back, very nice. You're now our biggest unit. Okay, now that is one of the reasons why I deliberately did not destroy something, because now this is valueless in their leader ability, which should be usable, but they chose not to. I guess it's technically still not on cooldown, because they didn't use it. They couldn't use it last turn. So now, I mean, basically whatever we destroy, they're going to be able to use their leader ability on, but we have last say. We have double last say, in fact. So that means we could just wait to destroy stuff until our very last turn. I mean, this is going to go to their graveyard imminently. So we may want to play Isabel now. And 139 is pretty insane. And then next turn we can go Alchemist on Isabel to get her stronger. Equals the unit on its left, so we put Isabel here. And then we Alchemist her, is what I'm thinking.
When will you ever learn?
So we're hoping that she can survive one more turn, because she is vulnerable at the moment. Which would be the reason for targeting the Alpha Wolf, although we have enough units on the board and that damage is random. I think we might still be okay. And I think, given how they have all those synergies for stuff that is in their graveyard, we deliberately, once again, do not destroy anything, and might just whittle away at some of their armor. And eventually, we'll actually hit through that armor, but not yet. Love that got a boost on his bell. Oh, that's a little scary. Damage all units by 1. And this did go to their graveyard, so they were able to bring it back, but it does not activate its ability. Wait, it has a cooldown of 2. Maybe it will activate its ability. Maybe that is now our preferred target. But we will definitely go with an Alchemist here to power up his bell.
If anyone asks.
So now it is much harder for them to take her out, and she is now at 150 points of damage, which is ridiculous. I think we will just to play it safe, make sure that we remove you here. Does mean that now they have several cards in their graveyard, so they will have some ability to do graveyard stuff, but I think we've denied them so many opportunities to get value from that at this point, not that concerned about it anymore. And we have a lot of armor as well, so we're actually not taking much damage from that stuff, although Isbel's order ability is racking up. They only have one more turn left. Let's see, if we go Alchemist here, we can then power this Alchemist by a bit and then use this. No, we don't have another Alchemist. Okay, we'd like to play something small next to you, which I guess would be Gabor, and then we can use the Alchemist. I've recently discovered that there is an achievement for finishing a match with 300 or more points, which apparently we haven't done before. That surprises me a bit, but we are kind of close here, so if possible, I'd like to see if we can make that happen. That may be easier said than done, because nowadays our deck is set up more for damage than it is for boosts. But alas, see, they're on cooldown, they're not going to be able to use that, so we can destroy stuff if we want to. And we should be able to do that. So let's go here.
You sure about that?
And we don't have any trinkets in our deck. No potential for additional boosts there. Okay, see, again, feel okay about destroying that stuff. Oh, I forgot to use Patricide. Oops. Wasn't going to do much to break through their armor anyway. Okay, that's their last play. So clearly, we have won, and won by a pretty huge margin here. The question is, can we find a way to get ourselves up to 300 points? Because I believe that would give us an achievement. So I would like to see if that is possible. And I think the best way to do that would be by stealing one of their cards with Artifact Compression and playing it, in addition to Alchemisting here. And we're going to run out of board space, I'm pretty sure. So, not sure we're going to have room for rain. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have room for 3 more things here. We have just enough room. Okay, I think we can still make this work then. Let's do this.
There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Positioning would have been a little bit better elsewhere, but alas, not sure we had perfect control over that anyway. More time for Mahakamail to boost us up, and that'll get us close. Now let's go Artifact Compression. Oh, we can leader ability. So, how many boosts has Dogger received? 1 round of boost from Mahakamail. It would clog. It would give us 1 more unit than we can fit. So, I think we can do it, but we need to do it on our last turn. It needs to be the last thing that we do to replay Dogger. Let's do this. We will steal whatever your best unit is. I mean, it doesn't really matter much. It's going to turn into a Jade figurine now. And with this Jade figurine, that should get us there, theoretically, to above 300 points. But, and also, again, we can use Patricide. Patricide doesn't matter at this point. Isbel is more than enough damage to destroy everything, so that's another reason why I'm not too concerned about that. And focusing just on the boosts here. So Reynard, I mean, we might go further just because we can, and why not? So if we were to use Reynard here, get charges back. I mean, I don't think that's going to be huge. Well, so what we can do is we can sacrifice you guys, boost the other Skellige guys in the process. Use Reynard in case we need a second round of charges to get these guys destroyed. Finish with leader ability into Dogger. We'll lose a little bit of boost on Dogger. Ah, he's been boosted again by the Makamail, which we'll miss those out when we replay them, but so be it. And I think that is on net still worth more points because sacrificing these guys does give us more value. You will need to get a second leader ability, or second order ability to get destroyed, so I think we prioritize you. Then, so short term, that absolutely lowers our points. So we might be playing with fire a little bit here, and if I mess up, then well, we will. We will not hit 300 points, but I think we can still make it happen. So we do, yes, it does need to be you. Powers up everyone else. Then you can still get destroyed this way. Power up everybody else. Now it's Reynard. Oh, we still have one more turn. I knew that. As long as it's not Dogger. I mean, it doesn't technically matter that much, but it's points wasted if it boosts Dogger. So now it's Reynard. And
Discipline shall bring us victory.
it means we can now sacrifice you as well. Power up these guys. We can now replay Dogger. Curious how much this is now. Pretty close to our highest Isbell value, and we could technically go even higher still if we were to do this stuff, but that's not what we're optimizing for. We're optimizing for this, and I guess you. Now, that bomber might actually prevent us from playing. Yeah, because we're going to get that before. Oh, no, we get the other Skellige guys first. Okay, great. So I don't think we're going to have room for the last unit that we play here, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be one of the Skellige guys or if it was going to be the bomber. But it is the Skellige guys. Can't play bomber. That's fine. We're totally okay with that. So now we are well over 300 points, and we should get slightly more when we use Makamail. And, you know, I didn't forget. I didn't forget that too. So by the time this kicks in, it should be about a little over 350 to 0. I believe our biggest win yet. Oh, it doesn't boost on our last turn. How dare you? Okay, so we might have gotten a little carried away. We also apparently did not get an achievement for that. Maybe the achievement is for specifically winning round 1 or round 2 with having over 300 points. That because I mean, I was a little surprised that we didn't have it, because as I said, I thought we had gotten 300 points in round 3 before, but maybe I briefly skimmed the description of the challenge, because I feel like there are some achievements that may have spoilers in them, so I'm trying not to look at those too much. But maybe somewhere in the fine print, it would explain why we do not have that one yet. But either way, I mean, we did finish an encounter that had Woodland Spirit in it. Given how there wasn't really any narrative around that encounter, I imagine that is not the one that there's all this buildup around. That is probably this encounter right here. But we did succeed, and we were on low morale, and so having finished that, we're now back onto neutral morale. That's one win, in addition to, of course, just checking off one other encounter here and getting a little more resources in the process as well. But this is definitely a good place for us to wrap up here. Don't know if maybe we'll find a way to get that kind of 300 points achievement, if it does actually exist later on, but you know, that's secondary for the most part. We're mostly just trying to get through here without having to craft any of our units along the way, and we're getting ever closer at that. So thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.